The blue light of the hologram filled the United Assembly chamber. All 500 representatives from Earth's nations sat in stunned silence. The alien's face on the screen had 6 eyes that blinked in an odd pattern. Its purple skin looked smooth like polished stone. When it spoke, its voice sounded like several voices mixed together. The Galactic Council has voted. Earth is too unpredictable. Your species develops too quickly. You do not follow the natural order of evolution. You are dangerous to galactic peace. You have 3 standard cycles to surrender your world and accept our rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your civilization. This is not a negotiation. The transmission ended. The room stayed quiet for 5 more seconds. Then everyone started shouting at once. Admiral Jeffrey Collins stood at the back of the chamber, his face showing no emotion. He had expected this day would come. 6 years ago, when humans first met the aliens, he had noticed how they watched, humans with caution. The aliens called themselves the unified species, but humans called them the Council. They ruled over 200 alien races across the galaxy. They had been in power for 50,000 years, and they had never met anyone like humans before. Order, we will have order. The assembly president banged her gavel. Slowly, the shouting stopped. We must vote on our response. Who wishes to speak first? A tall man from the African Union stood up. We must fight. Earth has 300 warships. We have nuclear weapons. We will not surrender our planet. Many people cheered. A woman from the European Federation stood next. 300 ships against how many? Thousands? Millions? We must negotiate. Perhaps they will accept partial control. The debate continued. For hours. Some wanted war, some wanted peace, some suggested hiding. No one had a plan that seemed likely to work. In a secure room deep beneath the assembly building, President Alan Carter watched the debate on a screen. With him were General Susan Wright, Dr. Peter Kim, and Director Ellen Martinez, Earth's Secret War Council. They're wasting time, General Wright said. The Council has never changed its mind once it makes a decision. History from other conquered races proves this, Dr. Kim nodded. Based on our studies of their technology, they have at least 5,000 capital ships. Each one could destroy a major city. We cannot win a direct fight. President Carter looked at Director Martinez. Ellen, is Protocol Quiet Thunder ready? She took a deep breath. Yes, sir. We've been preparing for 20 years, ever since we found that crashed scout ship in Arizona. The public never knew how much technology we recovered, or how much we learned about the Council's plans. The president stood up and walked to the window. Below, he could see Washington, D.C. spread out in the evening light. People walked the streets, unaware that today might be the last normal day in human history. They expect us to fight or surrender, he said quietly. Those are the only responses they've ever seen from species they've confronted. That's why we created a third option. He turned back to the group. Send the coded message to all protocol. Commanders, the phrase is Doorway 3. Full evacuation begins in 6 hours. General Wright picked up a secure phone and spoke briefly. When she hung up, she said, It's done. Across Earth, in secret bases and hidden facilities, military officers received the coded message. In orbit, space station commanders got the same words. On Mars and the Moon, colonial governors read the message and began their prepared tasks. Back in the assembly, Admiral Collins felt his phone vibrate. He checked the message. Doorway 3. With a small nod, he left the chamber quietly. No one noticed him go. They were too busy arguing about options that no longer mattered. In Denver, Colorado, Lisa Chen was feeding her baby when the special alert came through on her government phone. She read it twice to be sure. Then she kissed her daughter's head and handed her to her husband, Joe. It's happening, she said simply. Call your parents, tell them to come over right away. Pack only what fits in the red bags. Joe understood immediately. They had practiced this. As an engineer who worked on the secret quantum displacement engines, Lisa had known this day might come. Their family was on the priority evacuation list. How long do we have? Joe asked, already moving to get the emergency bags from the closet. 6 hours until the first transports leave. Our group is scheduled for the second wave. That gives us about 14 hours. Across the city, across the country, across the world. Similar. Scenes played out in millions of homes. Only about 20% of Earth's population knew about Protocol Quiet Thunder. They were the scientists, engineers, doctors, farmers, teachers, and skilled workers who had been secretly briefed. They would go first, taking humanity's knowledge and skills to new homes. The rest would follow according to the evacuation schedule, which would take nearly 2 weeks to complete. In orbit above Earth, Commander Sam Nelson received the code on the International Space Station. He gathered his crew. "It's time," he said. "Begin powering down all non-essential systems. Make it look like we're having technical problems. In 2 hours, we go dark completely." One crew member asked, "What about the council ships? Won't they see us evacuate?" "The quantum jumpers don't work like normal ships," Nelson explained. "They don't leave heat signatures or radiation trails. They just disappear from one point and appear at another. The council doesn't have this technology. They won't know how we left or where we went." As night fell across America, President Carter returned to the White House. The Assembly had voted to send a message asking for more time. It was pointless, but it would keep the council representatives busy while Protocol Quiet Thunder proceeded. In the Oval Office, Carter recorded a short message to be broadcast worldwide once the first evacuation phase was complete. "My fellow citizens of Earth," he began, "today we face the greatest challenge in human history. The Galactic Council has declared war on humanity, not because of anything we have done, but because of what we might become. They fear our potential, and they are right to fear it." He paused, thinking carefully about his next words. "We will not surrender. We will not fight a war we cannot win. Instead, we will take a third path. For 20 years we have prepared for this day. We have built ships that can travel in ways the Council cannot detect. We have established colonies in places they never thought to look. Starting tonight, we begin the greatest migration in human history. It will not be easy. Some will need to wait longer than others. Some may need to leave treasured possessions behind, but we will survive. More than that, we will thrive. And one day, when we are ready, we will return to the galactic stage on our terms, not theirs." As his message was being encoded for later broadcast, the first quantum jumpers began activating in secret bases. Each could carry 5,000 people, vanishing from Earth without a trace, reappearing light years away at hidden colonies named New Hope, Liberty, and Promise. The Galactic Council had declared war, expecting Earth to respond with either surrender or futile resistance. Instead, humanity quietly began the most ambitious plan in its history, not to fight, not to submit, but to simply step outside the rules of a game they could not win. The quiet response had begun, and it would shake the stars. The lunar surface was busy with activity. Under the dome of Armstrong Base, thousands of people moved with purpose. They carried boxes, pushed carts, and checked lists on their tablets. No one was panicking. They had practiced for this day many times. Lisa Chen walked through the main manufacturing hall. The huge room was almost empty now. For 10 years, her team had built quantum displacement engines here. These engines were Earth's greatest secret. They allowed ships to move instantly, from one place to another without using the hyperspace lanes that the Galactic Council controlled. "Final check complete on Transport Group 7, her assistant Paul said. "All engines show green status." Lisa nodded. "Good. How many more groups left?" "Just 3. We'll be done in 4 hours, well ahead of schedule." Lisa looked around the nearly empty factory. Strange to think that this place, hidden on the far side of the moon, had been her home for so long. By tomorrow it would be abandoned, along with all the lunar colonies. The council would find nothing but empty buildings. "I need to check on my family," she said. "They should have arrived at Loading Bay 5 by now." She walked quickly through the corridors. Along the way, she passed many families just like hers. They carried small bags with their most important belongings. Children held toys and asked questions. Parents tried to make this scary time seem like an adventure. At Loading Bay 5, she found Joe sitting with their daughter. The little girl was sleeping on his lap. Next to them were Joe's parents, looking tired but calm. "Ready?" Lisa asked, sitting beside them. Joe took her hand. "Ready, though I still can't believe we're leaving the solar system. My parents never even thought they'd visit the moon, and now we're going to another star." "New Hope is beautiful," Lisa said. "I've seen the pictures from the advance team. Blue skies, clean water, mountains, it's like Earth was 100 years ago." An announcement came over the speakers. "Group 5, please prepare for boarding. Group 5 to boarding platforms." Joe's father, a retired history teacher, helped his wife stand up. "In my classes, I taught about the great migrations in human history, the Polynesian voyages across the Pacific, the movement of people from Europe to America. But this is something else entirely." As they joined the line for boarding, Lisa thought about what he said. Humans had always moved, always explored. The council saw this as dangerous, but it was just who humans were. Meanwhile, on Mars, the evacuation was moving even faster. The Red Planet had been home to nearly 1 million people, living in underground cities to protect them from radiation. Now Commander Jack Rivera watched as the last groups of colonists entered the large quantum jumpers. His second-in-command, Carol Winters, handed him a report. "All essential equipment has been moved. The farming systems, water recyclers, medical equipment, all on their way to the new colonies." "What about the special project?" Jack asked quietly. Carol looked around to make sure no one was listening. "The seed banks and DNA samples are already at Liberty Colony. The scientists arrived safely yesterday." Jack nodded. This was perhaps the most important part of Protocol Quiet Thunder. Earth's plants and animals needed to survive, even if Earth itself was lost. The Council might destroy human cities, but they couldn't destroy humanity's new home if they couldn't. "Find it, sir," a young officer called out. "We just got word from Neptune Station. The Council fleet has entered the solar system. Over 4,000 ships." Jack checked his watch. "They're early. We still have 12 hours before the final evacuation group leaves Earth." "The President has been informed," Carol said. "They're speeding up the evacuation schedule. The last groups will leave in 8 hours instead of 12. Jack watched as the final Mars colonists boarded their transport. In 30 minutes, this underground city that had been home to 200,000 people would be empty. The lights would go out, the air systems would shut down. Mars would return to being a dead world, at least as far as the Council could tell. In deep space beyond the orbit of Pluto, Captain Olivia Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Nightfall. This ship was different from any other human vessel. It was larger, faster, and built with technology that not even the Council had mastered. The Nightfall had been humanity's insurance policy. Built in secret over 15 years, it contained laboratories, factories, and living space for 10,000 of Earth's best scientists and engineers. If the evacuation somehow failed, the Nightfall would ensure that human knowledge survived. "Captain, we're receiving ships from Mars now," her navigation officer reported. 12 jumpers have arrived at the rendezvous point. Olivia watched on the main screen as the transports appeared in flashes of blue light. Each one carried 20,000 people and critical supplies. They would wait here in the shadow of a small ice moon until all evacuation ships had arrived. Then together they would make the final jump to the new colonies. "Any word from Earth?" she asked her communications officer. "Yes, Captain. The news isn't good. Council scout ships have begun entering Earth orbit. They're scanning the planet. They seem confused by the lack of defensive measures." Olivia wasn't surprised. The Council expected resistance. Their war records, secretly obtained by human spies, showed that every species they had ever conquered had tried to fight back. None had succeeded, but none had tried Earth's approach either. Back on Earth, President Carter was one of the few high-ranking officials still on the planet. He stood in the nearly empty White House with General Wright, watching satellite feeds of the Council ships entering orbit. "They're landing scout teams in major cities," Wright said. "Beijing, London, Rio, New York." "And what will they find?" Carter asked. "Empty streets, automated systems running on timers, holographic projections to confuse their sensors. Everything to make them think we're still here, just hiding." Carter walked to the window. The evacuation of Washington had been completed 6 hours ago. The streets below were empty except for automated cars driving pre-programmed routes. In homes and offices across the city, lights turned on and off on timers. TV screens showed recorded programs. To quick scans, it would appear that people were inside, just not visible. "It's time for us to leave too," Wright said. "Our transport is waiting. You'll be the last official to depart Earth." Carter took one last look around the Oval Office. 250 years of history in this room, and now we're leaving it behind. Not forever, Wright reminded him. Phase 2 of the protocol includes eventual return. Once we've built our strength in the hidden colonies. "I hope I live to see it," Carter said. He picked up a small frame from his desk, a photo of Earth taken from the moon. It was the only personal item he was taking. As they walked to the waiting helicopter, Carter thought about the message that would automatically broadcast worldwide once he was safely away. It would tell the 20% of Earth's population who hadn't been part of the secret evacuation plans about what was happening. Detailed instructions would guide them to hidden pickup points over the next week. The Council thought they were starting a war. Instead, they were witnessing the most amazing disappearing act in galactic history. High Chancellor Zix Kareth stood on the bridge of the massive council ship named Glory of Ages. The alien leader had 6 eyes arranged in a circle around his head. His skin was deep purple, and he stood nearly 7 feet tall. For 50,000 years, his species had led the Galactic Council. They had never failed to conquer a world once they decided to do so. "Report," he commanded. His voice sounded like several voices speaking at once. Security Director Vrax, a smaller alien with red skin and 4 arms, stepped forward. "Most strange, High Chancellor. We have landed forces in 500 Earth cities. We find buildings, roads, vehicles, but almost no humans. Impossible. Their population is nearly 8 billion. They cannot simply vanish. Our sensors detect some life signs inside buildings, but when our soldiers enter, they find no one. Just devices showing moving images and sounds. Even their orbital stations are empty." The High Chancellor's 6 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his confusion. Could they have destroyed themselves rather than submit? Scan for radiation that would suggest mass suicide. Already done. No evidence of such an event. Then where are they? The High Chancellor's voice rose in anger. No one on the bridge could answer. This had never happened before in all of Council history. Primitive species faced with the Council's power either fought or surrendered. They did not disappear. In a city humans called Chicago, Council soldier Grekval led his squad through empty streets. The buildings were intact. Lights were on. Strange moving images showed on screens in many windows, but no living humans could be found. "Search that building," he ordered, pointing to a tall structure. His soldiers rushed inside. Minutes later, they returned. "Empty, Commander, but we found this message written on a wall." The message, translated by their devices, read, "We chose door number 3. Grekval did not understand. What was door number 3? There were only 2 doors, fight or surrender. His training had prepared him for resistance, for battles in these strange concrete canyons, not for this empty ghost world. Similar reports came from Paris, from Tokyo, from Sydney, from Cairo. Everywhere, Council forces found cities with power still running, but no humans to be found. Occasionally, they found the same strange message. On the Council ship, High Chancellor Zix Kareth called an emergency meeting with his commanders. Could they have had warning of our arrival? Could they have evacuated their planet? Asked Fleet. Admiral Dorn. Science Officer Krell shook her head. Her species had long green tendrils instead of hair. Impossible. They have no technology for mass evacuation. Their space vessels are primitive and few. They cannot travel faster than light without using hyperspace gates, and we control all gates in this sector. Yet they are gone, the High Chancellor said. 8 billion beings do not simply vanish. Search the planet thoroughly. They must be hiding underground. For 3 days, Council ships scanned every inch of Earth. They found abandoned underground bases, empty submarine facilities, deserted mountain bunkers. but no significant human population. More disturbing were the findings on Mars and Earth's moon. The colonies there had been completely evacuated as well. Equipment was missing, food supplies gone, no bodies, no signs of battle, just empty habitats. In his private chamber, the High Chancellor reviewed the reports with growing unease. His species prided itself on being able to predict the behavior of younger races. They had conquered 200 species by understanding their psychology, exploiting their weaknesses and offering them only choices that led to council control. But humans had somehow found another option. A third door that the council had not seen. High Chancellor. Science Officer Krell's voice came through the communication system. We have found something interesting in a human facility under their ocean. Explain. It appears to be a prototype of an engine we have never encountered before. It generates some form of quantum displacement field. Most of the device is missing, but from what remains, we believe it might allow travel without using hyperspace. Impossible, the High Chancellor said automatically. No species has achieved such technology. It would require manipulation of quantum states beyond theoretical limits. Yet the evidence suggests they have done it, Krell replied. And if they have such technology, they could be anywhere, the High Chancellor finished the thought. For the first time in his 300-year life, he felt something close to fear. He called an emergency session of the full council. Representatives from all 30 major council species gathered virtually to hear his report. The situation is unprecedented, he told them. The humans have not surrendered. They have not fought. They have simply left. The Denovian representative, whose species resembled large insects, spoke first. If they have quantum displacement technology, they are more advanced than we estimated. They could establish colonies anywhere in the galaxy beyond our reach. That cannot be permitted, said the Volturian leader, a being made of crystalline structures. If they can travel outside our hyperspace network, they can bypass our defenses. They could appear at any of our worlds without warning. The council meeting descended into fear and argument. For 50,000 years they had controlled the galaxy by controlling the hyperspace lanes that allowed faster-than-light travel. If humans had found another way to move between stars, the council's power was at risk. We must find them, the High Chancellor finally declared, silencing the debate. All council resources will be directed to locating human colonies. They cannot have gone far. They are still a young species with limited resources. But even as he spoke, he saw doubt in the faces of the other council members. The humans had surprised them once. They might do so again. On a small planet orbiting a star 20 light-years from Earth, Lisa Chen watched her daughter play in red grass under a pink sky. New Hope Colony was growing quickly. The quantum jumpers arrived every few hours, bringing more people and supplies from the solar system. Joe came to stand beside her. The last transport from Earth arrived an hour ago. President Carter was on board. The evacuation is complete. Lisa nodded. So Earth is empty now? Except for the wildlife and automated systems we left running to confuse the council, yes. 8 billion people relocated in just 12 days, the greatest migration in human history. Lisa looked around at the new human settlement. Houses were being built, fields were being planted, schools were being organized. This was just one of 200 colonies established in secret over the past 20 years. What do you think the council is doing right now? She asked. Joe smiled. Exactly what we want them to do. Searching for us in all the wrong places. The quiet response had begun. The council had declared war, expecting humans to behave like every other species they had conquered. Instead, humanity had rewritten the rules of the game. Now it was the council's turn to respond. 6 months passed since the evacuation of Earth. In a hidden star system far from council space, a special meeting took place. Dr. Nathan Powell stood before 200 colony leaders. The room was a large dome made of a clear material stronger than glass. Through the dome they could see the beautiful rings of a gas giant planet. This was Liberty Colony, one of the largest new human settlements. The network is complete, Dr. Powell announced. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed excitement. All 200 colonies are now connected through the quantum displacement system. The assembled leaders clapped. This was a major achievement. The quantum network allowed instant travel and communication between all human colonies, no matter how far apart they were in normal space. President Carter stood up. In 6 months, he had lost weight and gained more gray hair. Running a government in exile was difficult work. Dr. Powell explained to everyone what this means for Phase 2 of our plan, the president said. Powell nodded and touched a control. A large three-dimensional map appeared above the table. It showed the galaxy, with tiny blue dots marking human colonies. The Council has spent 6 months searching for us, Powell said. They've been looking in the wrong places. They believe we must be hiding near Earth because they don't understand our technology. He touched another control. Red lines appeared on the map, showing Council space and patrol routes. They control travel through hyperspace gates. For 50,000 years, that has given them power over all other species. But our quantum system bypasses hyperspace entirely. We can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. A colony leader from Australia raised her hand. So we could attack them now? Show them they were wrong to threaten Earth? Dr. Powell shook his head. We could, but that's not our plan. Humanity didn't run away to start another war. We left to show the Council there's another way. General Wright stood up next. Phase 2 isn't about fighting. It's about positioning, about building our strength while remaining hidden, about preparing for the right moment to reveal ourselves. On the map, several of the blue dots began to pulse. These colonies are ready to begin limited trade with non-Council worlds, Wright explained. Small ships, quiet exchanges. We'll offer medical help, technology, food, things the Council either charges too much for or doesn't provide at all. Won't the Council notice? Someone asked. Eventually, President Carter said, but by then it will be too late to stop what we've started. At that same moment, in a different part of the galaxy, Captain Olivia Mitchell guided the Nightfall into orbit around a small planet. This world wasn't on any Council maps. It was home to a species called the Navari, who looked somewhat like tall, thin humans with blue skin. The Navari had developed spaceflight but couldn't travel faster than light. The Council had visited them once, decided they weren't worth conquering yet, and left them alone. The Navari lived in fear that the Council would return when they became more useful. We're in position, Mitchell told her crew. Prepare the diplomatic team for landing. This was the Nightfall's third contact mission. They had visited 2 other worlds already, making peaceful contact with species ignored or oppressed by the Council. Remember, we're not here to fight the Council, she reminded her team as they prepared to land. We're here to build allies, to show there's an alternative to Council rule. The landing craft touched down near the Navari capital city. A group of nervous local leaders waited to meet them. When the humans emerged from their ship, the Navari were surprised. They had expected the intimidating presence of Council representatives. Ambassador Greg Daniels approached with empty hands, held out in the universal gesture of peace. We come as friends, he said, as the translator converted his words to the Navari language. We are humans and we have much to share with you. Over the next week, the humans showed the Navari medical technology that could cure diseases that had plagued them for centuries. They offered agricultural methods that could triple food production. Most importantly, they offered a quantum communicator that would allow the Navari to contact humans if the Council ever threatened them. Why are you helping us? The Navari leader asked. What do you want in return? Ambassador Daniels smiled. Only friendship. The Council believes that advanced species should rule over less advanced ones. We believe in helping each other grow, and perhaps when the time comes, you'll stand with us. Back at New Hope Colony, Lisa Chen was working on an improved version of the quantum engine. Her laboratory was filled with equipment salvaged from Earth and new inventions created since the evacuation. Joe entered with their daughter, who was now walking and talking more. How's the work going? He asked. Good, Lisa replied. This new design uses 30% less energy. It will let us build smaller jumpers for more specialized missions. Joe looked at the complex equipment. I still can't believe we managed to evacuate everyone in time. Not everyone, Lisa said sadly. Some people didn't believe the broadcasts. Some couldn't reach the pickup points. Some chose to stay. According to their best estimates, about 2% of Earth's population remained behind. Most were hiding in remote areas. The council was still searching for them, still trying to understand where the rest had gone. At the edge of human-controlled space, Dr. Kim led a research team on a special mission. Their ship, the Explorer, was studying a pulsar, a spinning, neutron star that emitted regular pulses of radiation. The readings are even better than we hoped, Dr. Kim told his team. This pulsar is perfect for our needs. The plan was ambitious. By placing quantum relay stations near powerful astronomical objects like pulsars, humans could boost their communication network. This would allow them to detect council ship movements across vast distances. Once this station is active, Kim explained, we'll be able to monitor council activity across nearly a quarter of the galaxy. We'll know their movements before they do. One of his assistants asked, when will we actually confront them? It's been 6 months since they threatened Earth. How long do we stay hidden? Dr. Kim looked at the pulsar glowing on their view screen. President Carter and the council believe we need at least 2 years. Time to build our colonies, strengthen our network, gather more allies. Then we reveal ourselves, not as refugees or victims, but as a new power in the galaxy. The assistant nodded. I miss Earth, the real Earth, not just the holographic simulations in the colony domes. We all do, Kim said. But remember what's at stake. The Council has ruled for 50,000 years by controlling how species travel between stars. We've broken that monopoly. We've changed the fundamental balance of power in the galaxy. As he spoke, a quantum message arrived from Liberty Colony. It contained new orders from President Carter. Dr. Kim read them and smiled. It's happening sooner than we thought, he told his team. Phase 3 has been approved. In 6 more months, we make our presence known to the Council. The quiet response was nearing its completion. Soon the stars would truly be shaken. 1 year had passed since the Galactic Council declared war on Earth. In the Great Council Chamber, High Chancellor Zix Karath faced an angry group of representatives. The huge room, with its curved ceiling showing stars and planets, had never felt so tense. You have failed, said the Denovian representative, his insect-like mandibles clicking with anger. Humans still have not been found. Meanwhile, strange things are happening across the galaxy. Explain these. Strange things, the High Chancellor said. His 6 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his worry. The Volturian leader, made of crystal structures, spoke next. 20 non-council worlds report visits from unknown ships. These ships bring medicine, technology, and food. They ask for nothing in return. The visitors call themselves humans. A shocked murmur went through the chamber. The High Chancellor's purple skin darkened with stress. That is not possible, he said. Humans cannot travel so far so quickly. They cannot reach worlds outside our hyperspace network. Yet they have, said another council member. And there is worse news. 3 minor species that pay tribute to the council have stopped their payments. They say they have new allies who do not demand tribute. The council chamber erupted in angry shouts. For 50,000 years, the council had maintained order through control. Species either joined the council and followed its rules, or they paid tribute for protection. No one had ever offered a third choice. The High Chancellor raised his arms for silence. We will increase patrols. We will punish any world that shelters humans. We will find their colonies and destroy them. Even as he spoke, 50 quantum displacement portals activated simultaneously across the galaxy. On 50 different worlds, human ambassadors appeared at the same moment. Each one sent the same message to the Galactic Council. In the council chamber, a communication officer rushed in. High Chancellor, we are receiving transmissions from 50 sectors at once. A large screen appeared in the center of the chamber. On it was the face of President Carter. Behind him stood General Wright, Dr. Powell, and representatives from all the human colonies. "Greetings, High Chancellor," Carter said. His voice was calm and confident. "1 year ago, you declared war on humanity. You expected us to fight and lose or surrender and become slaves. We chose a different path." The High Chancellor rose from his seat. "Where are you broadcasting from? How have you accessed our secure communication network?" Carter ignored the questions. "Today we reveal the true extent of humanity's quiet response. We have established 200 colonies beyond your reach. We have made allies with 30 species you have oppressed. We have created a network that makes your hyperspace lanes obsolete." The screen split to show images of human colonies. Cities under domes on distant worlds, farms growing Earth crops under alien suns, shipyards building new vessels with the quantum engines, schools where human children learned alongside alien young. "We did not want war," Carter continued. "We still don't. But we will not allow you to threaten Earth or any other world again." The High Chancellor's anger boiled over. "You cannot challenge the Council. We have ruled for 50,000 years. We have technology you cannot imagine." "No," Carter replied. "You have old technology that you have hoarded. You prevent other species from advancing because you fear they might surpass you. That fear led you to threaten Earth, and that threat led to your worst nightmare coming true." On a planet far from the council chamber, Lisa Chen stood with Joe and their daughter. They watched the broadcast on a large screen in the town center of New Hope Colony. Around them, thousands of other humans watched too. "Did we really just challenge the entire Galactic Council?" Joe asked, holding their daughter tightly. "Not challenge," Lisa said. "Changed. We've changed everything." On the nightfall, Captain Mitchell watched with her crew as President Carter made an offer to the Council. "We propose a new relationship," Carter was saying. "Not based on dominance but on cooperation. Not on fear but on mutual respect. The old galactic order is finished. It ended the moment you declared war on Earth." Ambassador Daniels stood nearby. He had just returned from his 10th diplomatic mission. "This is the moment we've been preparing for," he told Mitchell. "Everything changes today." At the quantum relay station near the pulsar, Dr. Kim and his team monitored Council communications. They could see panic spreading through the Council fleet. "Their ships are being ordered to high alert," one technician reported. "But they don't know where to go. They're scattered across too much space to be effective." Dr. Kim nodded. "And we can see every move they make, while they're still blind to ours." Back in the Council chamber, the High Chancellor tried to maintain control. "You speak of peace while threatening us with your technology. What are your demands?" On screen, President Carter shook his head. "Not demands. Proposals. First, Earth and all human colonies will be recognized as independent. Second, any species that wishes to leave Council control may do so without punishment. Third, the technology for quantum displacement will be shared with any peaceful world that wishes it. That would destroy the galactic order," the High Chancellor shouted. "It would create a new one," Carter replied. "A better one." For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council faced a species it could not control through fear or force. The High Chancellor looked around the chamber. He saw uncertainty in the eyes of some Council representatives, fear in others, and in a few, something even more dangerous: hope for change. "We will not be dictated to by a primitive species," the High Chancellor declared. "We will find your colonies. We will destroy your network. We will—" He was interrupted by the Denovian representative. "Perhaps we should consider these proposals," the insect-like alien said. "The humans have shown they can evade our reach. They have technology we do not. And they speak of sharing rather than conquest." Other Council members began to speak up, questioning the High Chancellor's authority for the first time in living memory. On Liberty Colony, Dr. Powell watched the debate with satisfaction. "It's working," he told General Wright. "The Council is fracturing." "Not all at once," Wright cautioned, "but the cracks are forming. Some member species will see the advantage in a new system. Others will cling to the old ways." "And if they try to fight?" Powell asked. Wright smiled. Then they'll discover that our quiet response included more than just evacuation technology. We've been designing defensive systems too. Systems that make their weapons obsolete. As the debate raged in the council chamber, humans across 200 colonies celebrated. The day of revelation had come. Their quiet response had succeeded beyond all hopes. They had not fought the council with weapons. They had changed the rules of the game entirely. On New Hope Colony, Lisa watched as her daughter played with alien children from 3 different species. Former enemies under council rule, now learning to be friends. This is what they feared, she told Joe. Not our weapons, not our ships. They feared this, that we would show the galaxy another way to live. 1 year after the council had declared war, expecting either surrender or a futile last stand, humanity had responded by rewriting the future of the galaxy. Not with the thunder of weapons, but with the quiet power of innovation, cooperation, and hope. The stars had indeed been shaken, just as the old title had predicted. Shaken free from 50,000 years of fear, shaken awake to new possibilities. And it had all begun with a choice, to step through door number 3.